How's everybody doing? I gotta find a little click over here to put names up. I was told to put the names up the last time, and I didn't do show names. Here we go. Man, I'm getting jazzy good with this tech stuff, guys.
Got it.
Holy cow. All right, so you can see we got Hooked Up Joe, we got Sharif, we got Mr. Success, otherwise known as Cody, and then Monkey Boy Curtis up in the left-hand corner. We're going to go hot to trot. It's 4th of July weekend. My wife has got the stopwatch on, and she's got the rolling pin, and she's saying, brother, you got an hour. So we're going to roll tonight. I got some really good stuff from the guys. They got some good things they want to talk about. We're going to run with that. I got a few little chirps in there. So that's going to be it, guys. I hope all's well. Everybody had a great Hey, Anthony, what's going on, brother? Good to see you here, man. I hope everybody had a great Independence Day. And I just want to say one thing quick. Like I'm Joe, I said hi to you already. Don't abuse the hi, man. Don't abuse the hi. I'm a history guy. I study voraciously. I went to school. History was one of the things I was going to go for. And I know that, there's a lot of things in America that you could say present and past. You're like, it curls you up a little bit. But guys, before America was instituted, before Declaration of Independence, it was peons and serfs and then the super elite class. And the middle class, the regular Joe, like Hooked Up Joe, never had a shot when it came to things. It was a small merchant class, the ruling elite class, and then some military elites in there, and then mostly just peasants and servants that really had no vertical ascension in existence. And America, for not being perfect, created this thing. And it opened up the middle class and it broke down these ruling elites. So governments began to take over. And so Independence Day, 4th of July, is a hallmark moment. We should be grateful. It's not perfect. There's nothing perfect in this life. There's a lot of things you could say you'd want better. But 4th of July is very special when you really understand what it means from a historical perspective. So those who gave their life and gave lots to keep this thing rolling, and for all the people that are there and really get to see a lot of the beauty, the true beauty of it, and not being a peasant. I hope you guys all had a great 4th of July and a great 4th of July weekend. So that's my little thing there. I had to say that. Anyway, Sharif had some really good stuff we were talking about in the back room about defense. I got a little chirps at the end. I'm going to throw in some things just to kind of round up some of the stuff I've been talking about. But I want Sharif to take it off, and we're going to talk some defense. Rock and roll, Sharif. You're on, man.
Yeah, man. Shout out to Ace per head and everything that he does, the production, what he brings to the table in terms of the trenches, as we call them. And so we love him for it. Love you guys, Joe, Cody, and so let's get it in. I think we did a lot of lamations about the offense last time we were up here. And we are very encouraged of the force multiplier, what we can cause as safeties to do, and how we can occupy a space. And then all of a sudden, the Odell Beckhams of the world, the Jordy Fortons of the world, Jonnu Smiths of the world can get open. But the defense, guys, it's been something I think a lot of people are guessing what would be, or is it new? Oh, but fans in the comments, everyone, it's something that we've seen for 3 years with Flores, basically. They're saying it's from Mike McDonald and it's a bunch of 3 safeties, but those 3 safeties, they probably have position names as opposed to Flores, who had no position names. But he did have 3 safeties on the field. Example, one of our best cover safeties, Eric Rowe, covered every safety on every tee and did a good job. And so when we talk about the 3 safety that Weaver is going to bring in, it's practically the same. Are we going to ask Poyer to take on the Eric Rowe role, stay down in the box, and when an opposing tight end wants to pinch and feather out, he clamps down, is it gonna be? I don't think it's gonna be Mays. I think Mays is probably gonna either be the deep free or somewhere roaming. But I don't think we're gonna ask Javon Holland to do something new again, and then it's gonna be 4 years in a row where he's never doing the same thing. So maybe Poyer, maybe Isaiah Campbell. I don't know, but
Maybe Cam Smith is working some
it
of that stuff in there.
What about Jalen Ramsey taking snaps at safety
boy
too?
exactly right. The robber. Wait, when you think he's gonna drop and play corner, he comes and robs you at the last moment. I've seen Jalen do that a lot with the Rams. But yeah,
But I like a lot of what we've done. It's gonna to me, anytime we talk football, it's got to be about the synergy. It's always a synergy between the players and the units on one side of the ball, and the synergy between that unit and the coach. But then it's also the synergy between the offensive side and the defensive side and the two coaches. And it plays a huge part. So for me, if this offense puts the points on, and these offenses are in a chase situation, chasing the points, chasing the pass in order to keep pace with us, then that puts this defense really in a powerful situation where they're not going to have to force teams out of balance. And sometimes that's harder because we like to play light. So if we are putting those points on, if this offense is doing all the things that it's supposed to, it's really going to put this really, it's a pass defense, pressure pass defense, light box, light defense in the right positioning. So I think that, way Chris Greer has constructed this team, it's clearly on speed, it's on impact plays, it's on the potentiality of putting points and pressure on opposing defenses, but it's also to be in balance with the defense that is a pass stopping defense. And we're putting points on, I think that a lot of the possible issues are being pulled off the table. So I'm excited about that. I think that's a really nice thing for this whole build if it plays out the way it's supposed to.
So I'm wondering about if, it almost seemed like our defense was a square peg going into a round hole in the last defense because we had trying to change our defense that much. So the question is kind of Sharif or the panel is, do you think we're going back to a square hole? Do you think our defense is more, or our roster is better suited for the type of defense that we're going to be playing? Or do you think we didn't really have any roster issues last year?
I always got something to say because I got the biggest mouth
you
on
want
the
to go,
panel.
Cody
So
or Curtis?
you can go first because I'm always going to open my yap, man. I'm a yapper. So you can take it, Sharif, if you want.
What I would say, to that is, I think I see, you know, when we talk about the same defense that Flores ran, I'm when I say this, guys, I'm talking about the two press conferences that Weaver had, and relative to what he said, it really made me excited and really got my toes tingling, like the Mad Dog used to say. Um, but he said that on third down and 10 or more, guys, he's bringing it. I don't know if he even supposed to say that, but we know that once Flores got you with three down linemen, four linebackers, 3-4 first and second down, and to me, with Tier Tart or Benito Jones having lower leverage than Raekwon, I think that gives the opportunity for whoever is Siler and opposite Siler to roam more. Because when they stand Raekwon up, you can see he's the biggest player being driven back, or he can't sink down. One thing I know Will Fork used to do, and even Tim Bowens, they would go on one knee, and you would not be able to move them at all. And even Chester, I don't know if you guys remember Chester. He played a couple of years defensive tackle for us. Very short guy. Once he went down on one knee on first down, that hole was closed. Then everyone else gathered and tackled. But when I think about first and second down, it's 3-4. But if you get caught up in more than 9 yards on third down on an amoeba standing seven defense where you don't know who's coming and you don't know who's dropping, we have Jalen Ramsey and Wilfork, and I'm sorry, and Fuller. So it's going to be a different type of coverage clamping down, and guys are going to get there because it's the same pressure. It's the same. And so I am excited for that. I don't know if that answered your question, but
Well, yeah, I think it did. I think that, like, if I were to dial it in a little bit more, though, if you, hey Curry, what's going on? I like Jones or Todd also. Don't think they were in shape. Maybe one of them due to the reports. I think one comes in and earns a job. That's actually good. I was actually going to speak about that. So perfect. I scripted it well. So if you look at Benito Jones, I did a lot of studying on him. He's a big guy, and he'll eat up one, but he's not going to take two. He's not fast enough to really create pass pressure, although he will collapse against one. I'm not really too high on him in the run stopping thing, but he is a big guy. He is a plugger. Tart, he was in bad shape. He could play, but I got some questions about him because he did really well that 1 year, and that was with Simmons, and then he didn't play well last year, and then he got let go because of personality issues, and then he went someplace else. I can't remember where. Two teams, one in the postseason.
Atlanta?
And what?
Was it Atlanta?
I think so. I can't remember. And then he went to another postseason team. He didn't do well. I think that he can pass rush, but he does struggle against a run. And so that's not bad. It's not bad in a sense. It's if you look at the Ravens last year, they came out ultra light on first down. And if they were able to stop that first down run and get on top of teams, controlling that run attack, they were top 3 in the league, maybe top 1 in least quarterback rating allowed. But when that team got the run off on first down, it was able to create a run game. They fell to bottom 3 or bottom 5. And so the concept is that they want to play ultra light. And anytime you play ultra light, and teams have done it against us for years. I went back in 2021. Titans, they played the nickel ultra light against our 12 personnel, 2 tight ends, and they were able to stop our run and able to stop our pass in the nickel. And that really is a huge conducive environment for success if you're a defense, if you could play light and still stop the run. Now, the question is, are we going to be able to stop that run? Now, I love Sealer. I'm concerned about that 0-1 tech guy. I like what's his name? The kid
Campbell.
I can't remember his name. He
Neville Gallimore or Marshall.
No, he's a young kid that we got. And
Healy or Deshaun Hand?
No, Hand I like a lot. I really like Hand in that.
Peely? I think Peely is gone.
No, not Peely. What's his name? He's the Islands guy.
Is he an edge guy?
No, he's a DT. I can't believe I can't write the whole.
Peely's the Samoan guy. All right.
What's his name?
DT.
Brandon Peely.
I think he's a guy that the Dolphins are really thinking, hold on a second. Dolphins roster.
Paul Soliai, hopefully.
Yeah, right. No, I was like,
Neville. It isn't Neville Gallimore. It isn't Neville.
No,
Gallimore?
no, man. Oh, man.
Marshall. I know Marshall we got Marshall from Denver.
No, this is terrible, man. I hate this old timers disease thing here. Where's his name? I got one second. Where is it?
You looking for a DT? Is that what you're looking for?
Yeah, he's a DT. Holy cow! I can't believe I forgot his name. Benito Jones.
You're digging deep here.
Mac, where is he? Hold on, guys. Sorry about the down. Peely. Oh, yeah, it is Peely. Yeah, so somebody said Peely. I wasn't connecting. Yeah, Peely's a guy, and Hand I like those guys inside. I think Peely's still going to be more of a pass rusher than a run stopper. It was Peely. My brain is like Swiss
Shelby
cheese
Hill.
too many hits in the head. Um, I'm not big on Gallimore. He's more of a pass rusher. Benito Jones is not much. Despite his size, he's been around the league a while. He gets pushed around. Hammer, man, hammer time, baby. I had to say hi to Hammer, my man, Hammer.
What's up, Hammer?
So I really, really, really like Hand a ton. But can he handle the wider workload?
Stay healthy.
Yeah, he's usually pretty healthy. So, you've got Kamara and you got Chop. They're going to struggle against the run. You're not going to have Chubb and you're not going to have Phillips, although I love Calais Campbell. I keep calling Calais because of my New York. Somebody schooled me on it. Calais Campbell. And I love, what's his face, the other end we got from Tampa. And so I like what they're doing on the edge. But if you go look at all linebackers, can they handle if guys are getting to the second level? And I don't know. That's going to be, to me, is the 5 or 6. I don't think that many. Because I think they're going to have, I think, Sealer, Peely, Hand, and maybe somebody else. I think they might rely on Campbell to kind of play a little bit in that inside role. They need to keep those edge guys because Chubb and Phillips are coming in late. So I don't think they're going to keep that many, although they might. That's a good point. I'm gonna study it out. And I think, but we've got to control that interior. And I don't know. I think Peely's going to be really good or pretty good.
A lot of what you speak about, a lot of what you're speaking about, Curtis, do you think that's a counter to a quick huddle on second down? Let's say the Ravens are successful on first down, stopping you light, and we do the same. But and I'm gonna probably talk about that a little later. But let's say we are successful stopping you light on first down. If they quick huddle, like you're quick huddling into the light box that we like, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
because we successfully stop your run on. So continue. That's kind of what I was thinking.
Yeah, well, that's the point. That's why this defense is so successful. Because if you don't crack them on the first down, then everything's flowing towards their advantage. And so, you there? You guys there?
Yeah, I'm here.
I'm sorry, you froze. You were so like unmoving. I'm like, my internet went down. Sorry, jackass it out. I apologize. So that's the whole thing. It's the first down. And if an offense can get on schedule, this defense will have problems. Because if you get a first down run of 5 or 6 yards, and then you call the quick huddle again, then you've got this light box in a two-way go down.
Yep.
So it can go both ways. It can go both ways. And it's all going to come to that first down. I mean, Sealer staying healthy is paramount. Hand staying healthy is paramount. I mean, that is going to be the big, big deal for us. And
so let's break that down.
Go for it, bro. What do you want to
Let's break that down. So if we, because what Patrick Graham would do and Flores is, they would go heavy, right, on first down, 3-4, right? So our 3-4 conventional first down would be the big guys. And I assume you won't see Jalen. You may see Chubb on first down, but you won't see Jalen. So that'll be Brooks, that'll be Long, and that'll possibly be the other defensive end, which probably is a heavy end. Right, Shaq Barrett. So now that's a heavy end who's the option to fire dog, fire zone, or now that's 5, right? And Flores was so successful just bringing 5, and meanwhile he's always making you think it's 8, right? And so now we're trying to simulate what we're going to do on first down and get to second down, right? So I guess some guys are going to go running off the field after the first down play. And in our value, we would probably bring in Jalen, right? And try to get closer to our nickel, which we would stay in. But if it's something that we stop them on 2nd and 9, we'd love to stay in what we have. So now it's 2nd and 9, and we stay in what we have. Quick pass to the tight end, incomplete. Now you're in 3rd and 9. This is this, so I want us thinking here. And what do you guys think?
No, I don't want us to go fast ever. Like, Tua makes mistakes when we just try to put speed out there for no reason. It seems like we're trying to score, trying to get a field goal late. Like, it just seems like I want to slow it down this year. So I really don't want to do any getting to the line quick. But one thing I'm thinking about is you got to build your team to beat who you need to beat. And we need to beat the Bills. Obviously, we got to build our team to beat the Bills. We need to beat the Chiefs. Everybody needs to beat the Chiefs. But we need to get past the Ravens too. And if we want to run an offense where we think teams are going to trail, then you better be able to pass. You better be able to stop the pass. If you think teams are going to pass on you because you have the lead, then you better be able to stop the pass. And the way Fangio did it, we didn't get after Lamar. We really didn't get after Lamar, and Flores did. And the results were way different. I'm not saying that we could do the exact same thing and it's
Cody,
going to work again, but not putting pressure
Cody,
on
you're
Lamar,
so right, Cody.
It hurt, man. And I think Mike sees these things, and I think he brought in a guy that's going to say, all right, what can we do when we're playing the Ravens late in the year for the division, for the first, seed? Like, okay, let's get some guys. Let's get some secondary. Let's do some amoeba. I would love if Brian Flores' defense came back. I'm not a Flores fan, but goddamn, that guy called a defense. There's no doubt about it. So I think we need to be able to cover.
Cody, I was crying. I literally shed a tear when I said, are you kidding me? Fangio is not going to send any blitz. And the game just feathered right away. If that was Flores, Lamar, you know how many men were how many Dolphins were in the backfield that second half of that game? I think Tua took over, right? That was the game where Tua took over.
There's something in between.
Like, it was like, how does Fangio come up there in a huge game when we were number 4 in defense and not change it up and just amoeba the dude? But anyway, continue, Cody, because we just gave that the game plan worked against him the last time you did it. Why did you go away from it?
Yeah, and we'll probably never know. Maybe
you brought back up bad memories.
I know Sharif's going on one, but something that came up earlier when Curtis was talking about complimentary football and having what I believe this is a Bill Parcells quote. He called it connecting the dots. Get your special teams to get your field position, get your offense to score, get your defense to get your big stops, work, as a team. And I really hope, I'm preaching continuity. Our defense hasn't had continuity. We haven't had continuity. Players, but not scheme. And I just have my fingers crossed that we can keep Weaver for a while. We can run something that's aggressive, but also, still pretty balanced, that Baltimore scheme. And we can just start getting some continuity on defense, But I am a little worried about DT. I wonder about Campbell. So the knock on Raekwon, he's 6'7", whatever. His pad level was so high. How does Campbell, the giant monster, how does he play at a pad level? Is he just that strong? Is he just that good at technique? I just don't understand how he can get down there and probably eat 2 guys. But Raekwon.
I'm glad you brought that up. Curtis, I know you probably want to get in on this. He's going to be setting edge. So if he sets the edge on the first down, a guy like him is going to be across the left tackle or right tackle. So now, let's say they quick huddle second down, right? And we're still on the field as a defense. Calais is cool with that. He can slip inside and slip between your guard and get to you. But my thing is, on third down, Calais is going inside with Siler. We have a good problem. Continue,
Batted balls.
because
That's
that's
what
what
I do.
he's good
Batted
at. You
balls.
see,
Yeah, I just
What-
wanted
and
to, if
he's
you,
great at setting the edge.
yeah, if I want, okay, so like I've studied him out. I'm not going
I
to
hear
say
you,
I'm an expert
Scotty.
in any way, shape, or form, but if you'll compare, he's almost the same size as Paul. Okay, I think they are actually the same size.
Yeah, pretty
But
close.
you have to remember that in a game of football, your hips and your legs are the primary drivers of your athleticism and power. If you have an upper body to match it, then that's beautiful. But what Calais Campbell has is he's got the strength. He's jacked. He's like chiseled. He's got long arms, but he has hips and thighs and hamstrings and glutes that allow him to drop his waist. And so if you look and you'll see a guy, he's big, 6'8", say 6'7", you're like, oh man, this guy's going to destroy the 6-foot guy. Well, not necessarily. It depends on the leverage. How much that 6'7", 6'8" guy can drop his center is huge, because when you have leverage, I've talked about with the offense and the skills, it increases your power output based on the leverage. And so you got guys like what's his name, Donald from the Rams, who's 6 feet tall. How do you destroy these guys? Because he gets underneath their pads. He's able to get underneath their power base, and he has such great strength and great leverage. And when they're taller, it actually becomes a hindrance. But you got a guy like from the Ravens, what's his name? I can't remember his name. My brain's fried, dude. The Hall of Fame tackle who started out as a guard, who was 6'9". Ogden, he was able to drop his hips. When you get that's why a lot of tall guys don't make it. You look at a lot of tall guys, they suck because they're so big, they lurch over you, and I'm not tall, but I played even like I was started out as a scout team on defense, and I was going against tackles that were 6'5", and a lot of these guys had no leverage, and I was able to like beat them, and that got me to be a running back because I knew how to use my leverage and because I had such a low center of gravity. And so you have to understand, when you watch a guy, you start out watching his hips. If he can't drop his base, and that's the whole thing that surrounds Paul's ability to play or not to play, is his ability to create leverage. You watch him on the zone stretch, and he just lurches over guys, and they just push him out of the way. That's why he's so terrible at run blocking, because you got to get underneath. And yeah, if you're a big guy and you got the length and you got the strength, and you can drop that leverage just enough so it's not such a huge offset, then you're a monster. But if you're not, then you're going to get dominated. And Campbell can do that. Campbell's got it all. You don't play 6'8" D lineman. Like I say, almost Ed Tuttle Jones, I think was 6'10" or something. You don't play that level unless you're a super athlete. And a super athlete means you can get low. That's why anytime I remember the old drills of you guys who played, it was about who got lower. You smash, and whoever gets lower gets the power to peel the other guy up. And so that's what makes Campbell.
Richard Seymour.
Richard Seymour was a
What about
beast.
Richard Seymour?
Same thing.
Yeah, boy, he was able to jump lower than our offensive lineman. He destroyed our offensive lineman.
He's Reggie White Light is what I call him, and I know that's big praise. But that guy,
he was Reggie White was
a
insane.
monster.
But he wasn't that tall. Reggie was like 6'4", I think 6'5", maybe, which is big, but still. Davis, if you watch him in year one, he was able to get lower. But once that knee got damaged, he was never the same player. That one injury to his knee changed the course of his career. And I don't know if he's ever going to be the same. He was dominating two guys, and he was able to get lower. But once that knee got damaged, he never was able to do what he did year one.
There's one
said.
Now, there's one guy who I watched this guy play, and Darryl Gardner. I don't know how he was able to paw you off in some cases with one hand.
Who's this? Who's
that?
Bro,
this
Gardner. Darryl Gardner.
Oh, Darryl Gardner was unbelievable.
Of course, it was the help of Tim.
What was that?
He was shot in the face with a shotgun in the offseason, and he showed up in training camp. That guy was
I don't remember that. That's crazy.
Oh, yeah. He was sitting in his car, and somebody was shooting a shotgun side of thing, got hit in the side of the face. The pellets went through his face, and he was like back like 6 weeks later.
Yeah.
It's like he was, if his back didn't get messed up,
Yeah.
Tim Bowens and Dial Gardner would have been.
I love those two guys.
Whew, but
and Norman Hand, remember Norman Hand was in there?
Oh, yeah, from Minnesota. He came from Minnesota.
Yeah, I love those three. They were doing well together, man. Norman Hand.
I think Kyle Krabs, don't quote me, but I just watched a video. He kind of broke down all the positions on the defense and ranked them against all 32 NFL teams. And I really believe our D line was maybe 6th to 10th in there, somewhere in that range. And he wasn't counting, the rookies.
I agree with that.
Wasn't even a part of it. He wasn't counting Kamara. He wasn't counting Chop. So he had some high praise to say.
And the reason?
Go ahead, Sharif.
Yep. The reason why I agree with that is, like I mentioned earlier, you have guys, like Weaver said again in his press conference, some of these guys are going to get the opportunity to break out for a next contract. If all of these guys do the Christian Wilkins and bet on themselves, like we have a good problem because they want to get to a next deal. That's what Ogba did. That's what Brandon Jones did. They had a couple of chances and opportunities to get to their next deal. And if two guys from the defensive tackles do that, we're fine. But I see great promise because once again, 3-4, you got depth for the 3-4, and then you're loaded at linebacker already, and then your ends, you're very loaded. You're talking about Kamara. You're talking about the veteran that we brought in from Tampa, Barrett.
Shaq
Barrett. And so you already have Siler. I think you're bringing back what's the kid name?
I got Peely, Hands, Gallimore, Benito Jones.
Well, I expect Han to play some end. Han can
no. He's gonna be 0 to 2 I. I don't think he's gonna play end. Maybe though.
What do you think about our quarterback? Our cornerback.
On third down. I mean, I'm sorry. Cornerbacks.
Our cornerback.
Hold on, I can do one thing because John Randall, locked and loaded, was my dude. Marino, Barry, and John Randall. That was the foundation of football for me, man. I love John Randall. You know, he said the only guy he never talked trash to was Larry Allen. He's like, you just say, you help him up. Thank you, sir. That's
Larry Allen, man.
I tell you what, John Randall. John Randall was the Kobe Bryant of the smack talker of the NFL, man, and he would back it up.
With the makeup on her. Those were the days, man. Yeah, Jose. So besides Long, I can see clean sweep at ILB. Long, Brooks, Weaver, and Brown make it. Tyndall. I don't think Tyndale, whoever is. I don't know. I don't think he's going to make it.
You want him to. You can't count on him at this point. Maybe an off-ball blitzer. Like the guy has incredible acceleration. He's an athletic freak. But I'm interested. Is that Cam Brown? I can't remember his first name from the Browns.
Yeah. Cam Brown, special teamer.
Yeah. See what kind of a thumper he is. See if he brings that, around the goal line, around that 3rd and 2. If we have a thumper in him, I think we might.
It's interesting you brought that up because this team still has the same special team coaches, but we brought in valuable pieces, meaning gunners, guys who can get off and get downfield and be physical. So Ron Neal, we got fellas who are better to be coached under a guy that we wanted fired in Crossman. I wanted him fired. So they actually went out and got him help.
Danny.
I wanted Danny Crossman out of here, man. But they got him value in Brown, Saron Neal. They got him good, valuable players who are very. Saron Neal is a Pro Bowler, And Cam Brown is damn near a Pro Bowler in terms of what they do on special teams,
I'm thinking
getting
we kept
down,
him
bringing
around
down
while
the
we
ball
fired.
carrier.
Go ahead, Sharif.
Go, yep. No, I was just saying, in terms of bringing down the ball carrier, those two are known for that on special teams.
Yeah, it seems like instead of saying we got to replace this coach, they thought we used all of our depth and turned them into starters by the end of the year. We're plucking guys off the special. Elijah Campbell is a hell of a special teams player. We have really good special teams players. Duke is a great special teams player. Keep them in special teams, but they had to leak out into bigger roles because of injuries. But I like that we're keeping Crossman because guess what? Things just got switched up in the NFL. Things got switched up. I want somebody who's experienced, who's ready for this, who's thought about all the different ins and outs of what the special teams could be, who's been doing it for 15 years? I don't even know. Crossman's been around for a long time.
Yeah, he was
I
a
feel like,
special teams coach
yeah,
before he came to us.
he's got enough experience to make this transition. And maybe a younger special teams coach, maybe this might be a lot. But instead of firing the coach, we gave him guys. And I believe in him. The guy's stuck around for a long time. And Curtis likes to say it comes down to the horses. And I don't think special teams unit had their horses at all for most of the years. Even Taj Washington's a gunner. So guys were brought in to play special teams. So I'm looking forward to it. Danny, don't blow it.
So
You
you got the Perrys of the world, Perry, safety. You got Isaiah Campbell. You got Saron Neal. You got another guy who maybe Nick Needham is going to be the other gunner. That's a physical unit. Yeah. Now you got Blake Ferguson and maybe the Tyndalls of the world and awesome. Whoever else. But that's a good segue to because we're on defense a little bit today. That's good. It's great talk.
Alf's in the chat, guys. Here we go. Hell yeah. What's up, Alf? You're the man.
Hey, Alf, since I heard something here, man. Scotty said Alf. That Weaver's not a fan of Kohu. Is that true? Oh, man. I hope not. I like Kohu. I think that guy could play. I don't know.
I think he's limited. I think he's a real physical. He can play down in the box really well. I just think he's kind of limited, but what he does well, he does really well. So, especially if we're going to do a Flores where we're blitzing some of our secondary, I think Kohu's a hell of a blitzer too. So,
yeah, just don't put him on the outside.
I can tell you, Kohu and man, if you look at what is so outstanding about Flores' defense, is Kohu was ranked number 1 in the NFL, and Alf can back this up. I think for almost 10 weeks. Correct me if I'm wrong. Kohu was number 1 in the NFL, and that's where he got his Darth Cater, because his successful rate of knocking passes away from receivers in that year, or them either not getting it completed, right? And so I think he's going back to that, right? That's why I mentioned all that. He's going back to something he knows. Stick after 2 seconds, clamp down, and Cater clamp down with the best of corners and slaps the ball away with the best of them. And I would say Xavier Howard was our best player to knock away balls from defenders, and Cater was right there with X in a defense that he now knows again. And so I think there's good things for Darth Cater.
I'm trying to do 2 things at once. Hey, Al, bro, that was very kind of you. I sent you the link, man. I sent you the link. Thanks.
Yeah, Al's got some info on Kohu he wants to share with us.
He's the pro. He's the pro.
Hey, I'm going to jump off, so you got a 4 spot.
Oh, you sure? Okay. I can come right back on.
Joe, thanks for coming on, man. Appreciate you.
Heads up. Take care.
Take care, Joe.
Thanks, Joe. I appreciate it.
All right, man.
Yeah, I'm interested. This special teams thing, like, who knows what's coming right now? I'm really interested in it. I'm interested in how it changes the roster, how it changes who you keep on for the 53, and who you deem as special teams players and who you deem as starters. And I'm just saying, hopefully it turns into 4 tight ends. Curtis, that's my dream, is we use these tight ends, and they need to play on special teams, but we use them in some packages where we can play a little heavier. And people say, oh, it's, you got 2 tight ends. How heavy is that? Watch Miami last year. 2 tight ends is heavy. Like we're not a heavy team. Like any step up in any physicality for this offense is a bonus. So,
well, that's the key. If you
Like
do
I-
bring out 2 tight ends, though, you have to be able to impose your will against these small units. And for years, we ran 12 personnel, and we couldn't impose our will against nickels and stuff, and that was brutal for us. So if we do get this 2 tight end, we do run 2 tight ends, we've got to see some movement, especially in the run game, at the very least in our pass protection.
yeah.
So,
or the threat of Jonnu leaking out is just enough to get him to the edge to make a run block, because they have to honor the pass. They have to honor the play action, if it might be. And just that, having the dynamic weapon at tight end can change this. I really think it can.
So I'm sitting there.
Here he is. He's the
thinking
big
to
guy.
myself,
The big guy's coming on, man. Here he is, the big guy. Alf, what's going on, brother? Thank you for stopping by. Very kind of you.
Thank you for having me on, man.
Anytime,
What's up, Alf?
You're the best.
Hey,
Good night, Alf.
Hey, good night. Yeah, look, I like Kohu. You guys were talking about some stats of his that had him rated pretty high. That was as a rookie, and as a man corner, he was pretty good, especially in the slot, and even had some success outside. My issue with him this year, and it's not really a personal issue. I think he's a good kid and really good athlete, but I think the system might be conspiring against him, and I'll tell you why. The evidence is pretty strong from the OTAs that they've already conducted and the internal discussions on the team that they're going to play a lot of cover 3. They're going to play a lot of what is essentially cover 6 and switch 4, which means they're going to have one single high guy. If you know how those defenses work and you understand that they're playing Jalen Ramsey in the slot a lot, and you have Cam Smith on year 2, and you just signed Kendall Fuller, which essentially he's going to be on the outside pretty much all the time, and they're moving Nick Needham back to the slot and playing outside because they added Marcus May. This is leaving Kader Kohu with not much to do on defense on this team. So it's not that he's a bad player or that
I think
he's
he's
out
doing
of
well with
favor.
somebody.
Yeah, I think it's entirely it's a good bigger than normal, bigger than smaller possibility. Let's just put it that way. That they can see themselves at the trade deadline this season and say he's not playing. He's playing 11 dime snaps total, maybe a game, if that. So. Yeah, he could be traded at the trade deadline. I think that's something that can happen. It's just a matter of it's a numbers game for him, The
thing that I'm going to miss with him now, Alf, is I just love his physicality.
Yeah.
And, it's going to put a lot of pressure on some of these other guys. Like Needham, he can be decent in the run game. Cam hasn't shown he can. Full's pretty good in the run game. But he's just – you see him. That guy is chiseled, jacked, and he loves to hit. He's not good late and mid-clock, so if they're running like one cover high and the rest in man and stuff, that puts him like maybe the weak link. And so I get it, but it's a shame.
Yeah, one thing my biggest complaint about Vic Fangio from last year, and he's a fabulous defensive coordinator and borderline Hall of Famer just because of the transformation that the league has gone under from his defenses. But my biggest problem with him is that I want my expensive players doing more, not less. And I'm pretty sure that was a point of contention last year from Chris Greer and Vic Fangio. I want my $23 million cornerback doing more. And this regime, the Weaver regime, seems pretty much committed to making that $23 million cornerback do more. So they're going to ask a lot of their higher price guys.
But the thing is, though, when you have a man scheme and you have this type of scheme, it's more conducive for you to move the pieces around. Fangio's is the mix-match zones. It's pretty much predicated on like being cerebral and just everyone having their job and not moving too many pieces around, because then it complicates the board too much. And so, I agree that you've got a guy that's talented. You got to max it out. But when you hire Fangio first and you've got a well-known system, then you add the piece later and say, hey, you got to change things around. And then the guy happens to miss half the season. I just think that it was a bad overall plan to implement that, because his system is very rigid in a sense, but it's almost easier to stock that because you don't need all these elite talents. I just think it just wasn't wise to bring him in with what he wanted it to employ. And so I think Weaver will utilize the talent better, but it's just inherent. It's an inherent asset in Weaver's and a weakness in Fangio's, but it should have been a known quantity,
Yeah, I think that they were in love with the idea of Vic Fangio and didn't really flesh out. They didn't flesh out because look, if you gotta go back to when they hired Mike McDaniel. Mike McDaniel had one of his first press conferences. He said he was going to have an evaluation period. That was his words, not mine. An evaluation period for the coaching staff. And you remember there were several stories back then that he was trying to convince Vic Fangio to come on board. He didn't. A year later, he got him. So I think that was probably, it was a good idea. It's, they had an idea. Let's bring in this guy. Did they have the personnel for it? Probably not. Did they want to completely change the personnel for it? As it turns out, maybe they were right not to, because he ended up in Philadelphia a year later when they determined it wasn't a good fit. But, I thought his performance here was fine, except for, just philosophical issues. And evidently, some of the guys in the secondary weren't big fans of his.
That's
but other than that,
probably the biggest issue, Alf.
Yeah, but other than that, his performance was fine. You can't blame him for what happened to that defense down the stretch. They were calling people off the street to play snaps.
I think they were calling you up, man. Come on.
I watched an old highlight with Justin.
I'll tell you a funny story. I made a report. I gave a report that week of the playoff game. I said, there's a vet in the building, and I'm trying to figure out which vet is in the building, right? And then like an hour later, I posted on OnlyFans. That's our Discord. I posted, I confirmed that they're going to sign Bruce Irvin. So everybody started crediting me. Oh, Alf got the scoop. They're signing Bruce Irvin. Before it came out that they signed Bruce Irvin, they revealed that they had signed Justin Houston. And a bunch of people were saying, Alf got it wrong. And then sure enough, they signed Bruce Irvin too.
Yeah, that's right.
So they were essentially signing an all-star team from like 2008,
10 years ago, those guys were studs.
Yeah, 10 years ago, Dolphin defense would have been fine.
Oh, yeah. They were desperate. They were desperate.
Man, I tell you.
I would overcome that. All right, here, Alf, since you're here, I'm gonna milk you, brother. I'm gonna milk you. So DF, I think he's played some kind of big time ball. I like DF. He's like up my alley. He was saying this, Curtis, you're talking about not just willingness to tackle, but an aptitude for it. You've seen me say this before. Good defenses tackle, and few units are elite at tackling year in and year out. What do you think about our aptitude and willingness to tackle? Do you think it's increased? What do you see? Do you see the flaws? What do you see the strengths? Watch out, DF's big, so he might find you. That's
Great question, DF. Great question.
I think they've made an improvement in that regard, and I really hate to say this because I keep showing up on podcasts everywhere, and we start up, by the way, next week. We come back, and don't worry. I know it feels like we were gone for 1,000 years, but we were only gone for the month of June. Okay, so starting next week, we'll be with you straight through June of next year. All right, so 3 yards per carry comes back next week. But I've been on all these podcasts, and I keep saying the same thing, I was a big fan of Jerome Baker. Jerome Baker's a good player, but I'm one of those, and you could go back and look at it. I advocated for using our last first-round pick in 2020 on Jordan Brooks. I'm a huge fan of his. His tape checks out.
You've been since the beginning.
Yeah, his tape checks out, man. And he's not only really good in coverage, he's a sticky tackler. And he'll stick you. He's a good fill linebacker. He can play scrape. And we all know David Long can do that. So I think they improved in that regard. Where they downgraded was obviously with Wilkins, but they're going to play a lot of guys at a lot of different snaps. And I think that whatever they're losing as far as pass rush from Christian Wilkins. He did give him a lot of pressures this past year and 9
Yeah.
sacks.
Yeah.
Calais Campbell is going to replace a lot of that. So that's good news also.
Talent-wise, but I don't know about positionally.
No.
You know, for me, you know, it's just my evaluation. I don't say it's like the thing, but you know, if in a run-stopping game, for me, it's center out value. And so what Wilkins brought in, that 2 technique, the 2 eye, you know, 1, it was so potent that while you're getting Campbell, who's been unbelievable on the edge, the interior value, I think, is a little concerning. But yeah, like you said, you have all these bodies, and so I you know, we'll see how it plays out. But to me, his value is just, you know, I know we want to just kind of poo-poo it, but I was looking someplace just quick. I don't want to go on too long, but so I saw in one of the things the Giants were saying, like, he couldn't pass rush.
Yeah.
In like I guess it was the Giants. The director was saying, well,
The
last
Giants
season, 30 out of his 66 pressures were on 3rd down, and this guy played 1,000 snaps. And so I'm not saying we're doomed, but I just think that guy was special. And
One thing I saw last year, and I always smiled when I saw this, and I would tell people, like, look, you want to know how Tony Romo is really good at his job, or at least he used to be, and how he could predict things. If you know your talent, you know what they're good at. And every time that I saw them in even fronts last year, I would smile because I knew they were going to have a win. And I haven't charted this, but I will. I'm in the process of doing it. Dolphin even fronts last year were so good. And by the way, for those who don't know what an even front is, it's when you cover the guard and center, or you could cover the guard, center, and the other guard as well. So you're covering at least 2 of the interior offensive linemen, meaning you're lined up directly head up on them. Dolphins and even fronts last year were a bear. They were a problem to handle in the run game. They weren't, at least in my estimation, they weren't equipped to play too many even fronts with what they had on the roster before Calais Campbell. I think with Calais Campbell, it helps them do that some.
I think that's fair. It's good. I want to see that. I want to see that charting, dude. I really want to. I never even noticed that. I never even thought about that, but that got me excited to think about it, man. That's cool. That's good information.
I think the best thing is
Yeah.
$27 million a year versus league minimum for this year. Like the drop off from, I know they're not the exact same position, but the drop off from what Wilkins brings to your defense to what Campbell can bring to your defense, that's worth $26 million to me. Like, we use that $26 million to fill a lot of holes this offseason.
Yeah, to a certain extent, but you
ask
have
Al,
to. I'm sorry. Go, Sharif. I apologize.
No, when you're done, I want to ask Al a question, please.
Well, I just think that, you know, if you look at Wilkins, he's a little bit older for his first contract, and I think that's fair in there. But, you know, you're charting out, okay, in this 1 year window, I think that you've mitigated it decently. But how many years are you going to get with him, and how many years could you get with Wilkins? You can get, I mean, you look at Chris Jones, he's what, 31 now, 32. You could have got 4 or 5 years from this guy. And so I just think that there's a lot, you know, his leadership, his consistency, his impact on both sides of the ball, and how many years that can cover. I think that, you know, you have to put that in a total package. It's the same thing with Hunt. You know, we have to see how it plays out. If we don't miss a beat on the offensive line and defensive line, then it was the right deal. But when you chart it out over 4 or 5 years, what do you get? Especially with Hunt, because he was kind of young. So I don't know. I would have gone a different direction, but I'm just a guy here doing this thing. So, you know,
what about all the joking around? The guys out there, I know he was pissing the other team off all the time, but he never seemed mad. He never played mad. And, you know, I think there's something to that, at least to the offense, having to play against another psycho on the other side of the field. Wilkins was just laughing all the time and having a good time. And maybe, I don't know, you guys know football a lot more than me, but I don't want that. I don't want that on my defensive line. I want a monster. I want somebody who's just going to take it to the other team. And I just thought Wilkins, but you know what? Maybe his technique and how great of a football player he was, it didn't matter.
Well, he would
That's
get
how
under your skin, and I think he was all out, but he just,
That's
you
true.
know, I remember there was some offensive lineman back in the 50s and 60s who would urinate on himself before the game, and that was one way. You know what I'm saying? Like, you know, so I think he was all out. He played 1,000 snaps, over 1,000 snaps.
They overworked him. Him and
I'll-
Sealer, they overworked him last year.
Yeah, I watched Wilkins in practice all of training camp last year, and man, he was an antagonizer on every snap really. And his favorite target was Liam Eichenberg. He used to terrorize Liam Eichenberg.
That's
And,
great.
and then he used to start. He would to say that he's a talker is an understatement because he just wouldn't stop. He would start and he wouldn't stop. And remember, I'm in whenever they go inside, I'm in the cardio deck, so I'm hanging over the defense. Okay, so the safety's essentially lined up right in front of me. Okay, as I'm hanging over the defense, and they're doing goal line drills, and he wouldn't stop. Christian Wilkins would just not stop. And he was talking to McDaniel. He was talking to Frank Smith. He was talking to Liam Eichenberg. He was talking to Connor Williams. He would talk to Robert Hunt. And Robert Hunt would only say the same thing over and over again. Man, shut up. Man, shut up already.
Dude,
and he wouldn't stop.
Story, Alf. That's a great story. I'm jealous.
Yeah, Christian Wilkins just would not stop.
Yeah, that's a good one.
I'm honestly, Alf, I don't really get jealous almost at anything. But I literally was jealous of you to be able to experience that kind of stuff. That is, to me, that's like the heart of football, like the heart of seeing people's character. And
that's golden, yeah.
And that really must help you in your evaluations, projecting things. I am jealous.
Can I ask the
panel? His trash talk. Christian Wilkins' trash talk was next level. I have never seen, and I've been watching practices for 20 years. I have never seen a defensive tackle talk trash to the play caller and his head coach during practice. Him screaming across the line, "Don't call that crap, Mike." And McDaniel just staring at him like this guy, you know. Yeah, you could tell Mike McDaniel was like almost like giggling like Jesus, man.
I tell you what,
that's so good. You're making me miss him, dude. You're making me miss him. That is so funny.
Yeah, there was times they would call a wham, and you see that. And Julian Hill, nothing against Julian Hill. Julian Hill's a legitimate tough guy. Okay, like if you want to know who the tough guys are on this team, there are many, and Julian Hill's one of them.
Nice.
But they call a wham on Julian Hill, and Julian Hill tries to crack on Wilkins, and Wilkins stones him. And you see that the play goes nowhere. It goes for maybe 2 yards. And you see Wilkins walks right over to Mike McDaniel and starts telling him, "You tried to use a tight end on me, huh? You tried to use a tight end." And he would go for like 2-3 plays. Our head coach used the tight end to block me. And you would hear him, and he'd keep going and keep going. Like, that guy set a tone. Him on defense and Tyreek on offense. Those are the guys that set the tone every single day in practice. Those guys are necessary.
That is amazing.
Somebody's going to have to step in for Christian Wilkins.
So
I can say that actually was the greatest thing that I've ever heard you say. Dude, I'm so appreciative of that. Maybe you laughed. I haven't laughed that hard in like months. He's perfect for the Raiders too.
They got
Alf, am I wrong to think that joking around isn't what we want on game day? Am I wrong?
Well, if he's antagonizing his head coach and the play callers in training camp, imagine what he's doing to the opponents.
Yeah.
Remember what he did when he pulled he grabbed the Johnson of Allen and got the penalty that time. That helped us win the game.
I remember there was a game it was a couple of years ago. There was a game against the Jets where Christian Wilkins had like 6-7 towels on the sideline, and he kept telling everybody, "Look at my collection." He was stealing everybody's towels on the field. You know, like who does something like that?
I remember he got caught. Like he got caught taking one, guys, and I guess finally he chilled a little bit doing it.
That's funny. Hey, Alf, Garrett has a question. He says, will Greer acquire one more season IDL, or is he done with resources there?
Give us good news, Alf.
I think he might be done, and I'll tell you why. They're trying to get this Tua deal done, and my guess is that they're trying to use some of the money that they're keeping to load year one of Tua's deal, meaning they might even rip up this season. So they're trying to pay for some of it up front to try to lessen cap hits down the road. One thing I've learned to know about this team is they have some biases. Like Chris Greer has a severe SEC bias, and you see he sent his best scouts, and he'll send the largest contingents to the biggest SEC games. The other one is they like to keep such a clean cap sheet, him and Brandon Shore, that they're probably thinking of something like that. They're trying to weigh, okay, do we lessen Tua's cap hit in year 3, or do we spend an extra $2 or $3 million on an interior offensive lineman? Now, personally, look, man, I don't think that Mark Lewinsky will be too expensive. Now, Mark Lewinsky is not Robert Hunt. I don't know if he even starts here, but I know he can play, and he's a fit for the scheme, and he gives you a little bit more depth. I like Greg Van Roten as well, but I think those guys would have to come, at least for sure, Greg Van Roten. They would have to come here with a guarantee. None of those guys are going to come here without being guaranteed a starting spot. I know that 2 years ago they tried to sign Graham Glasgow, and he turned us down because we did not want to guarantee him a spot over Isaiah Wynn. And he went to Detroit, took $3 million to do so, and now he signed a long-term deal with Detroit after having a really, really good season. So somebody like Greg Van Roten, I think he's just waiting for the first domino to fall, meaning the first interior offensive lineman to get hurt in training camp. And then he has himself a starting job for $3 million.
Is he just a guard, though?
Yeah, he's just a guard. I don't think Miami is going to guarantee any spots for a Greg Van Roten. You know, so I know fans want to say, "Hey, just get him, just get Van Roten. That's going to fix things." But I think that Van Roten's going to want a guarantee. He's going to want to be guaranteed to start at right guard.
Can he move well enough in OZ, heavy OZ though? Is he still got it at that age?
He can hit the cutoff. You could see him, especially. You know, what's a good game to watch of his? Watch the Raiders against the Dolphins last year. There's a lot of good stuff there. Greg Van Roten had his moments against Christian Wilkins and Zach Sealer. So watch him in there.
Okay.
He's really good in pass pro. Okay, so that's something that could help. He has a good anchor. He can hit the cutoff, but he's not like Lewinsky. Like if you watch Mark Lewinsky, like he looks really good. But then, you know, guys that are available at this time, they all have their warts, you know. Lewinsky is really good in the run game, can hit the cutoff, but is weak again in the pass game, right? Van Roten is not seen, you know, doing much in the run game, but he's really good as a pass pro.
That's probably more important for this.
Sign them both.
To do our business.
Rotate them.
I'll tell you what, man.
Yeah, do that, but in theory it works.
Yeah.
Essentially, that's what they have right now, really, if you think about it.
So is Liam right guard?
I think Liam starts training camp, and they don't keep anything a secret. Like they'll tell you day one in training camp, whoever's lined up where they want them, and we'll see if they make it there. Last year they had Isaiah Wynn lined up at left guard the first day of practice.
I remember that. And
he ended up keeping it. And they had Robert Jones at right guard, and then he got hurt. I think they really wanted Robert Jones to be the swing guard behind Hunt and Isaiah Wynn, and then he got hurt, and that brought Liam back in. But Liam Eichenberg was in the doghouse all training camp.
Yeah,
like he was working. No, Robert Hunt was the one that was in and out all of training camp. Then he got hurt against Houston. Liam was just in the doghouse. He was second team almost throughout training camp. So we shall see. My guess is that Liam Eichenberg will start at right guard to start training camp.
So then who's backup center? Liam, the right guard.
Although they have a couple of UDFAs. Matthew Jones is one that I'm interested in watching him play. He was good. He was good in Ohio State. He has some good tape, especially against the run. So maybe he's a guy. And they have the Ireland kid also, who has some chops. So they did what they didn't do last year. Last year they went to training camp with three centers. They traded one, and then they ended up with two, and then Liam cross-trained at center.
Yeah.
This year it's different. This year they have Liam plus their starter plus 3 more in camp. So they have a total of 4 confirmed centers and 1 swing guy, which is Liam. So they
I
got
didn't know
5
that.
guys.
Good.
Yeah, they got
I didn't know
5 guys that could play the position now.
Driscoll's
In
one of
theory.
them.
In theory, yes.
I have a question, and this is relative to the defense and to the corners, and to the corners giving too much space or cushion. Do you think? And I know you are at the Dolphins training camp, so I don't think at this time you're allowed to say what you can. But you can tell us enough. Do you see soft coverage on second, third downs, or can you tell the fan base, well, be ready for soft coverage because guys are going to be dropping 10 yards back, like what Boyer did, or will we see something different?
Well, it really depends on the coverages that they play. Last year, they would disguise a lot of quarters into their cover 6, which was their base, pretty much their base coverage all year, and they hardly ever went into cover 3 or cover 2. The only time you're going to see the corners up in coverage is in cover 2, and
Mm,
some cover 3 coverages. But if they disguise quarters, you're always going to start your corners at about 8 yards, and sometimes you drop to 12, and sometimes you move up to 6, but never impress or man. Okay, so it's going to depend on
okay.
what kind of coverages they're going to play this year, and if they stay true
Hmm.
to what the Ravens did last year, you're going to see a lot of cover 3. So you're going to see corners lined up 6 yards off of the wide receivers. And
Right.
of course, with middle of the field open, that's going to be their their principles because they want to force
Single
guys.
high.
They want to pinch guys toward Holland and Ramsey. That's what they want to do.
Hmm.
They want to have Ramsey playing that star
Hmm.
position, and you want to pinch inside to those 2 guys.
Awesome. Awesome. Thank you.
All right. So my wife, I
I was
can
gonna say
feel
you
her
gotta
eyes burning
accept
on
your
the other
plate.
side of the door. I hate to do it because Alf is giving some. He always gives gems, but today was like a major gem drop in
Thanks,
place.
Al.
I'm really
No problem.
grateful, Alf.
Yeah.
Just
Absolutely.
Thank you,
stopping
all.
by. My little rinky dink operation over here with me and the cats, and dropping some really good stuff. That Wilkins thing really. I hate to have it now because I missed the guy a little bit, but it was awesome. Really enjoyed it. I appreciate everything you do coming on this channel and answering the guys. Everything. I appreciate all my guys over here. Joe's off. I got Cody. I got Sharif. I got the whole team. All the guys that are not here. I appreciate everybody. Everybody, what you do. All the comment section. I never thought this thing would go far, and you guys, really take care of me, all of you. So I'm really, really grateful. Have a great rest of your Independence Day weekend. I appreciate everything that you got. And thank you for stopping by, talking football, and I will speak to you all soon. Miss Curtis is not one to be fooled with. She'll be pulling towels on Curtis all week. So, guys, be well. See you soon. Go Fins.
Fins up. Good night.